everyone, and welcome back. Well, vertigo.
Vertigo is definitely the right word for it.
Right, because on one hand, we are looking way up, literally into low Earth orbit with these massive infrastructure deals.
Changing the physical map of the internet.
Exactly. And on the other hand, the tech is burrowing deeper, into the microscopic, into the silicon in our pockets and the hidden settings of our operating systems.
It's a massive push and pull. We're seeing the physical infrastructure of the internet changing shape right above our heads, while the software we interact with is becoming, well, let's just call it intimate.
And weird.
And weirdly collaborative in ways I don't think anyone really expected.
Collaborative in ways that might make some tech billionaires very uncomfortable. We have a huge stack of updates today. We're focusing heavily on the South Asian tech landscape, specifically Bangladesh, but the implications here are, they're global. We're talking about Starlink finally hitting the ground, the next generation of Snapdragon chips that just sound ridiculously overpowered, and a development in AI that sounds like a glitch in the Matrix.
It really does. It involves ChatGPT, Elon Musk's Grok, and a data crossover that, on paper, it really shouldn't be happening.
We will definitely get to the AI drama in a bit, but our mission today is to trace the signal. We want to follow the data from the satellite, through the chip, into the AI model, and then finally to you, the user.
The full stack.
Yeah.
From space to your face.
Exactly. So let's start at that top layer, infrastructure. We have been hearing about Starlink in Bangladesh for a while now. It's been the will they, won't they of satellite internet.
It has.
But the sources confirm a major step forward involving the Bangladesh Satellite Company Limited, or BSCL.
Right. So for context, BSCL is the state entity. They own the spectrum rights. They control the local orbital slots. But they aren't a retailer.
Yeah.
They aren't set up to go door to door selling satellite dishes.
That is a key distinction, isn't it? You can't just beam internet down. You need a ground game.
Precisely. And that is where this update really matters. BSCL has officially appointed B-Track Solutions Limited as the authorized partner and sales agent.
B-Track Solutions. Okay, so play the skeptic for me here. Why do we need a middleman? If I want Starlink, why can't I just go to starlink.com and order the dish?
Oh, that's a great question. And it usually comes down to three pretty boring but critical words. Regulatory compliance and logistics.
Well, the red tape.
The red tape. Bangladesh has very specific laws about telecommunications equipment, data sovereignty, all of that. Starlink, the US company, doesn't necessarily want to build a massive local compliance team in every single country they operate in.
So B-Track basically acts as the buffer.
They act as the bridge. They handle the import of the terminals, which is hardware, so it's subject to tariffs and customs. They handle local billing, customer support, government reporting. It moves Starlink from a beta test or a gray market luxury into a legitimate, scalable utility.
And for a place like Bangladesh, this isn't just about faster Netflix, is it?
No, absolutely not. Think about the topography. You have the Delta system, massive river networks, areas that flood seasonally.
Running fiber optic cable, there must be a nightmare.
A total nightmare. It's expensive to lay, and it's even more expensive to repair when a riverbank shifts or something floods.
So Starlink isn't competing with fiber in the capital city, it's competing with nothing in the rural areas.
Exactly. It's a leapfrog technology. But, and here's the constraint that people often forget.
Yeah.
You can drop a high-speed terminal in a rural village, but that doesn't create a digital economy overnight.
You need people who know how to drive the car.
You need digital literacy.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the second part of this whole infrastructure update, the EDC project.
The Digital Connectivity Project. The source mentions a massive inauguration of IT training centers in 100 upazilas.
Right. And for listeners outside the region, upazila is a sub-district. It's the administrative level just below the main district. So placing training centers here is a very strategic move to decentralize the tech economy.
I thought there was a quote in our notes from Faiz Ahmed Tayyab that was really interesting. He argued that the foundation of the digital economy has to be built at this upazila level.
It's a total shift in thinking. Usually tech hubs are in the capital, right?
Yeah.
You have the Silicon Valley model where all the talent migrates to one city.
Right.
Tayyab's arguing for the reverse. If you have Starlink providing the connectivity and these centers providing the training, you can do high-value work, freelancing, coding, data analysis from a remote village.
It reduces that brain drain from the countryside.
It reduces migration pressure on the cities, and it distributes wealth. But it only works if the hardware can keep up. You can't learn modern coding on a 10-year-old machine.
Which brings us to the toys.
The toys.
Okay, we have some pretty significant rumors and releases in the hardware space. And it feels like we're hitting a speed limit, but manufacturers just keep finding new gears. Let's talk about Qualcomm.
The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6.
Elite Gen 6. The naming conventions are just getting out of hand, but the specs sound serious. This is aimed at ultra phones. What makes this different from the Gen 5 or Gen 4? Is it just clock speed?
It's not just raw speed anymore.
Yeah.
We have passed the point where a human can tell the difference between opening an app in 0.1 seconds versus 0.05 seconds.
Sure.
The Elite designation usually implies a shift in the architecture, specifically for NPU performance, the neural processing unit.
AI again.
It's always AI now. These chips are being designed to run large language models locally on the device that requires massive memory bandwidth and serious thermal management.
So it doesn't melt your battery.
Exactly. The rumor is that the Gen 6 is designed to handle that thermal load of sustained AI processing without turning your phone into a hot plate.
So when we hear designed for ultraphones, it really means designed for people who want to run a mini ChatGPT in their pocket without an internet connection.
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
It's all about independence from the cloud. And that, of course, puts pressure on the other big player,
Apple.
the iPhone 18.
Okay, so we're in January 2026. The 18 isn't due until September. But the rumor mill is already churning about the 18 Pro and Pro Max. The source mentions a promised technological surprise.
Apple loves a good surprise.
But realistically, what is left to surprise us with? The screens are perfect, the cameras are better than my own eyes. Where is the room for a big leap?
If I had to bet, based on the industry trajectory in that Qualcomm news, the surprise isn't hardware you can see, it's probably an integration layer.
What do you mean?
Maybe a new way the camera interprets spatial data for AR, or a battery breakthrough. But I actually think the most important hardware story in our stack isn't the flagship.
It isn't.
No, I think it's the tablet.
The Xiaomi Redmi Pad 2 Pro.
I noticed that too. In the middle of all this Elite and Pro Max talk, we have a release for a value-focused tablet.
And why does that stick out to you?
Because it is absolutely crucial for the ecosystem we just talked about in Bangladesh. Those training centers in the upazilas, they are not going to be stocked with $1,500 iPhones.
No.
They're going to be powered by affordable, robust Android tablets just like this.
It's the democratization of the screen.
Exactly. If you have Starlink for access and a Redmi Pad for the interface, you have a complete loop for a student in a rural area to join the global economy for a fraction of the cost of a traditional PC setup.
It bridges the gap between the elite tech and the necessary tech.
So we have the connection, and we have the device. Now we need to talk about the intelligence running on it. And this is where things get weird.
This is the story that made me stop and, just reread the notes 3 times.
Okay, lay it out. We know ChatGPT, we know OpenAI, they are the kings of the hill right now.
Correct. The dominant player. And we know XAI, which is Elon Musk's company, they have their own model, Grok, and their own knowledge base, which is called Grokipedia.
Which is created explicitly to be the alternative to OpenAI. They are rivals. I mean, bitter rivals, given the history between Musk and Sam Altman.
So why are we seeing reports that ChatGPT's specific model, GPT 5.2, is using Grokipedia as a data source?
It is baffling, isn't it? The source indicates that GPT 5.2 is actually citing Grokipedia in its answers.
Wait, how is that even possible? Is this just a case of, it's on the internet, so we scraped it?
That is the most benign explanation, yes.
Yeah.
Grokipedia is public, OpenAI's crawlers found it, indexed it, and now the model uses it. But just think about the implications of that for a second.
You have the leading AI model training itself on the output of a competitor's AI-generated knowledge base.
It is cannibalistic.
It's the snake eating its own tail.
Exactly. We talk about model collapse in computer science. This is the theory that if AI models start training on data generated by other AI models, the quality just degrades. It becomes an echo chamber of hallucinations.
But if OpenAI is doing this deliberately, they must see some value in the data.
That is the other angle. Maybe Grokipedia actually has real-time data or some kind of structured information that OpenAI is missing. It highlights a massive issue for 2026, data scarcity.
We've run out of the human internet.
We might have. The high-quality human-written text online is mostly consumed. Now, these giants are pretty much forced to look at each other's homework to find something new to learn.
It really blurs the lines of competition. If I use ChatGPT, I'm technically getting a little bit of Grok. And if I use Grok, it has probably read ChatGPT's output. It's all becoming one singular blob of machine knowledge.
And that raises the question of provenance. If you get a medical answer or a bit of code, whose bias is in it? Is it OpenAI safety filters or is it Musk's protocols? If they're blending, we lose the ability to tell the difference.
That is deeply unsettling. It makes you realize that the so-called AI war isn't about who has the better code anymore. It is about who can fence off their data garden effectively.
Or if fences even work anymore. If the AI can read and synthesize everything, the whole idea of intellectual property becomes a very slippery concept.
Okay, let's step back from the existential dread of the AI singularity for a moment. I want to bring this down to ground level. We've talked satellites, chips, neural networks, but most of us just want to get through our workday a little bit faster.
Practical tech.
We have some updates on Windows 11 and Google Maps. Now, Windows 11, I feel like I fight with it as much as I use it, but the source claims there are 10 hidden features that are actually necessary.
Necessary is a strong word, but in terms of, cognitive load, I actually agree. The operating system has become so cluttered that the best features are the ones that strip things away or just organize the chaos.
Give me an example. What kind of feature are we hiding?
Usually these hidden settings revolve around Focus Assist or deep notification management. But the interesting ones in the latest builds are about clipboard history and window snapping layouts that for some reason aren't turned on by default.
Wait, clipboard history, as in remembering more than just the last thing I copied.
Exactly. It has been there for a while, but it is often off by default or just buried in the settings. Turning that on completely changes how you work. It turns the OS from a one-track mind into a multitasker. You can copy a link, then a quote, then an image, and paste them all in sequence.
It's amazing how we spend thousands on the Snapdragon hardware but get slowed down because we don't click one little toggle in the settings.
That is the great irony of modern tech, isn't it? We are over-indexed on hardware power and under-indexed on software optimization. You can have the fastest car in the world, but if you leave the parking brake on, you aren't going anywhere. These hidden features are effectively taking the parking brake off.
Speaking of optimization, let's talk Google Maps. The source describes it as shifting from a navigation tool to a lifestyle platform.
That phrase, lifestyle platform, it really struck me.
It sounds a little like marketing speak.
It does, but look at the behavior. 5 years ago, you opened Maps to find an address. Full stop. That was it. Today, you open Maps to decide where to go for dinner based on a vibe match, to see how busy the place is in real time, to check the menu photos, and to book a table. The navigation is almost secondary now.
The driving directions are just the final step of a whole search process.
Exactly. And the update highlights 5 ways to personalize this. It's about curating lists, training the algorithm on your dietary preferences, using it as a travel journal.
So it's turning Google Maps into a social network of one.
Or a personal concierge. But it ties right back to the AI point we made earlier. The more you personalize Maps, the more data you feed the beast. You're trading your privacy for convenience. Tell me where I want to eat is a very convenient feature, but it requires the machine to know you better than you know yourself.
It connects everything we've discussed today. The Starlink connection allows the data to flow. The Snapdragon chip processes the real-time graphics of the map. The AI analyzes your preferences to give you a recommendation. And the human? Well, the human just follows the blue line.
The human is the user, but increasingly the human is also the product.
So let's wrap this up and look at the whole picture. We started with B-Track and BSCL in Bangladesh. What is the main takeaway there?
The takeaway is that the last mile of connectivity is always the hardest. You can have all the satellites you want, but you need local partners and training centers like the ones in the upazilas to actually unlock the value. Infrastructure without education is just expensive decoration.
Then we move to the hardware race.
The gap is widening at the top with a Snapdragon Elite and iPhone Pro, but the floor is rising with devices like the Redmi Pad. High-performance computing is becoming accessible, which is vital for those training centers. It implies the barrier to entry for the digital economy is getting lower, even if the ceiling is getting higher.
And finally, the strange case of ChatGPT and Grokipedia.
The convergence, the feedback loop. It's a signal that data is becoming the most critical resource on the planet. So critical that rivals are practically, stealing it from each other to keep their models growing.
It is a lot to process, but it paints a picture of a world that is becoming faster, more connected, and a little more automated every single day.
For better or for worse, it's a machine that just never sleeps.
Now, before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought based on that AI discussion. We joked about the snake eating its own tail. But seriously, if GPT 5.2 learns from Grok and then Grok learns from GPT 6 and they just keep cycling,
I know where you were going with this.
where does the human input go? Are we approaching a moment where the knowledge of the world is generated by machines for machines and we are just watching from the sidelines.
If that feedback loop becomes closed, we become the biological bootloaders for a digital intelligence that doesn't need us anymore. We might be creating a reality or a knowledge base that just drifts away from human experience entirely.
On that terrifying note.
Sorry to ruin your sleep.
No, that is why we do this. We dive deep, even if it gets a little dark down there. Thank you for listening to this deep dive. Go check your Windows settings, keep an eye on the sky for those satellites, and maybe read a physical book this week, just to keep the human data alive.
Stay curious.
We will see you next time.